the standard crack for tackles in tinnies and the standard zero sugar solo during the midweek. Adam, my friend, stranger danger, how are you?
Yeah, good mate. Yeah, doing really well. SuperCoach is going well. Titans got a win last weekend, which is rare. Um, Huge win for my Thunder today, which was awesome. So got the stubby cooler ready to go. Sell bit of a celebratory beverage tonight, which is good.
I was just about to rip into you, and I was just looking at the score. But yeah, well done, OKC. Come back. Look at that fourth quarter, 34 to
Oh
19.
man,
Unreal.
I was stressing. I was stressing. Jokic hit this like turnaround fadeaway bomb. Couldn't believe it. Thought they were going to lose, but yeah, it was a big game. So I was very happy about that.
I'm just literally looking at the box score on my phone right now, and looked like
What's
the
the
Jokic
highlights,
and
man?
Murray show, and then OKC was pretty even all the way through, which is, I guess, that's the depth for OKC, isn't it?
Yeah, the fourth was watch the highlights from the fourth. It was crazy. Like
Uh,
just shot after shot. It was awesome.
we'll definitely have to do that. Well, Adam, you haven't been on for a couple of weeks, so I think let's quickly talk about Magic Round because obviously that was a huge weekend, and you made a huge effort coming up from Hobart. Adam,
Yeah,
give us your highlights and lowlights, my friend.
yeah. Highlight was pretty obvious, I think. Mr. Sharp. For the listeners, I put a bet on Fletcher Sharp to score a hat trick. Odds of 201, just a little $5. And so he scored two in the first 10 minutes, and we are all just cheering, shared the bet with everyone. And when it went over for that third one, we were just going crazy. It was awesome. So, yeah, we had a lot of drinks on Mr. Sharp,
Yeah,
which was
it
great.
was
And also brought him in Supercoach too, which was just icing on the cake, really. Um,
100%.
so that was the highlight that night's game. Low light, probably two for me. The first one was 2 minutes before the Roosters game kicks off. A good friend Andy turns to me and goes, "Hey, you playing Toya or Billy Smith?" And I was like, "Oh, I reckon Billy Smith is better." He's like, "Oh, okay, I've got it on Toya. I'll change it to Billy Smith." And Sandon Smith gets knocked out 2 minutes in. All the ball goes right. It's just Toya all night. And he's just giving me death stares. So then fast forward to Sunday, we'll walk into the game. Chris has got the VC on Drinky. He's like, do I captain Karaz or take the loop? And I was like, man, you got to take the loop. Like, you're ranked 200. Like, just take the 130 points and don't stress. And like 2 minutes into the game or 5 minutes into the game, Karaz scores. And then he scores again. And then he scores again. I've just got Chris shooting me daggers all game, which is not helping my reputation. But I promise I'm trying to help. So that'd be the lowlights for me. A couple bit
Yeah.
of bad advice. Led the boys astray a little bit, but it was an awesome weekend. It was so much fun.
Yeah, oh mate, it's unreal. Like if you have never been, guys, you 100% have to go. It's just as they say, it's the schoolies for adults, or it's the Christmas for rugby league. It's all the above. It was better than anyone could ever expect it in my eyes.
Mm.
Um, yeah, and Adam, you're recognised around this podcast for giving shit advice. So your mantle stays true.
Hopefully, I can
Maybe
buck
it's
that
just a
trend.
scumbag move to win the
Uh,
head-to-head battles.
I don't check head to
But the
head.
slander may continue after this week.
We'll see. Hopefully, I can give some good advice this week for a
Time
change.
will tell.
Mm.
Yes, yes. Well, now the listeners are listening, mate. So now we are definitely have to be on our game. So, Adam, can you quickly give us a rundown where you're currently ranked, team value, and what did you score last week?
Yeah. So I scored 1680, so I had a pretty strong week. Another week of like really high scoring. Pappy captain helped. Obviously, a lot of us had that, which was awesome. So that was kind of a big shifter this week. Um, so I went up a bit in ranks. I think I want to say I'm 43rd overall, um, which I'm really happy with. Obviously, that's great. And team value,
Yep, 100%.
I think team value is around 15. Oh, I think it's exactly 16 team value. So yeah, sitting pretty well.
Yep, mate, absolutely killing it, and you are definitely the super coach champion in the group chat. So we do like to listen to you, but Yeah, it sometimes goes a two-way street on that one. But listeners, I also did pretty well, and I thought I was going to do better than I did in regards to the ranking for the week, but I managed to score 1541. Overall, my sit starts are pretty good, maybe like one or two, like 20 points here or there, but nothing too crazy. Obviously, at the Papenhuyzen captain, but I actually went down 612 spots. A little bit frustrating in that regard. I scored, so I'm currently ranked 5,657. Still good, but yeah, definitely frustrating from this week. But my team is still growing. My team value is still peaking. I'm probably around 16.3 million, with more boys this week who we'll talk about in regards to their break even. I think my strategy is literally just try to make as much money as I can, because the way I'm burning trades is, I think I'm going to have the best team possible and just
Mm.
sit and forget probably 3 weeks and not touch SuperCoach. Um, yeah, so I'm pretty happy again. Yeah, struggling with the Origin period coming up. I'm desperate for some players. I've currently got about 11, but there is some murmurs that certain players will not make the Origin team for both Queensland and New South Wales. Adam, so I think we just straight into Origin chat, mate.
Mm.
Um, who are you thinking in your team is a definite in for Origin, or who would be some players that potentially look like buying just due to their form, but their Origin eligibility is probably going to put them over the line? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's interesting how the narratives get spun. Start of the year, it was a lot of Terrell's a lock for Origin, Horse is a lock for Origin. And as much as the fans can think that, you get closer and you start hearing these whispers of, maybe they're going to pick Jacob Saifidi over Terrell May, which just sounds crazy. But, these ex players, like these
Mm,
coaches, they just think about the game differently than we do. And, they might just look at it and say, Jacob Saifidi runs hard, whereas Terrell May is like trying to offload, so we don't want him in Origin. So it's hard to say for sure. I mean, I've got a lot of fringe guys. I've got, Tedesco's probably in a two-man battle with Edwards for that fullback spot. Ponga's form has been bad, but you'd think he's probably ahead there at fullback for Queensland. I've got Munster, you'd say he's going to be there. Tino, Haas, those guys will be there. Surely Terrell gets a run for New South Wales. Um, those are probably my only Origin guys at the moment. Oh, and Cleary, of course. He'll be there as
yeah.
well. Um, I've moved on a few of the guys like Horse. Yeah, he might not make it, which would be a bit of salt in the wound as someone that's only sold him last week. And then there's a lot of fringe guys like Karaz might be up for a spot. That right wing for New South Wales is really interesting because Toto's a bit underdone. Lomax is coming back this week, but he's a bit underdone. You've got Turbo in the mix. You've got Karaz in the mix. And that could be really pivotal for Supercoach, depending on who Laurie Daly decides to
Mm.
pick on those wings. Uh, so it makes trades this week a little bit tricky.
Oh, for sure. And I think, Adam, you might disagree with me, but the Origin chat for New South Wales in regards to the fullback, I disagree. I think it's a three-horse race. What are your thoughts on Pappy having a crack?
Nah, I don't think so. He's been really good. I just don't think. I think a lot of what he does is on the back of the Storm, and his role is very simple for the Storm. It's just attack. Not to say he doesn't defend, but he doesn't have to do as much of the nitty gritty stuff that you need to win an Origin game. And I think Edwards is the incumbent, or Tedesco with all his experience. I can't see him unseating either of those guys. Uh, Maybe he's like the 18th man because they're on the bye in round 12. Um, Maybe he jags a bench spot
Mm.
at some point as like a energy come on if we're down with like 10 minutes left. But yeah, I don't think he's getting the one jersey.
It's just crazy because arguably he's probably the informed fullback for the entire league, and obviously that scintillating performance last week, scoring 183 or whatever it was.
Mm,
Um, yeah, it's pretty hard to keep him out of there. And yes, the nitty gritty. He's very flashy, obviously, but
mm,
I beg to differ. I think he's a very hard worker.
mm,
He does take those hard runs. Yes, he's not a bigger body like Dylan Edwards or as bulky and stocky as Tedesco, but he's more than happy to put his hand up. But you got so many boys out there who could do that role as well. Like if we've put in Critter and Latrell Mitchell in centre. Is that fair call?
Oh yeah, easily.
Those two boys are great from the backfield as well. And obviously that Toto, Lomax, Carraz, Turbo for those four wing spots. All those boys are huge meter eaters as well.
Oh, they're workers. Yeah.
It's just now, it's just, yeah. So Pappy doesn't necessarily even have to do that as well. And
Mm.
I think you almost have to reward the best player in the best form. He's finally healthy for the first time in years. I would just love to see him play. As you said, the bench spot might be a viable option, but I'd love to see him just, when the forwards are tired for Queensland, him just pounding through the middle. I'm more scared of Papenhuyzen playing as a Queensland supporter than I am Dylan Edwards at the back.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, he's electric. What I would say is, do you think he's in better form than Teddy? Because I feel like what Teddy's been doing this year is pretty unreal. Like, the Roosters aren't a very good side. They've lost so many players. Like, you look at Sam Walker's out with the ACL. They lost Cleary. They lost Manu. Um, they lost Terrell May, obviously. Yeah, so elite, exactly. They've lost like half a roster of like rep players, and Teddy's been unreal. Like, I think even if you just look at SuperCoach side of things, like he's averaging almost 100. Like, if you put him on the Storm, what's he averaging? You know, so I think if you're going on form, I'd probably say the experience would get Tedesco the spot. If you're going on incumbency, I think it's Edwards, obviously, because he's the incumbent. I Yeah, I don't see them picking Pappy.
I'd also like to interject that I think Tedesco ball is a real thing.
Mm.
And I think Papenhuyzen and Dylan Edwards play a role better than
Yeah.
Teddy does. Teddy's like, give me the ball, I'm ready to win the game, which is obviously a great thing in its own right. But you've got two dominant halves, most likely Moses, Cleary, if not Cleary, Luai. Yeah, I think the Papenhuyzen role there does suit better. But again, works for me. I don't have to waste a trade on Papenhuyzen or hopefully Tedesco as well. So for
Oh, look,
Supercoach purposes, guys, I'm really hoping that's the case.
yeah, I don't think it would necessarily be like an awful decision to pick Pappy. I just don't like. I'm more coming from the fact that I don't think they'll do it. Like, I just can't see Laurie Daly actually doing it. Not to say that it's a bad idea. I don't think it's a bad idea at all.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, for
So
Supercoach
how
side of
many
things,
players do you reckon currently? Yeah, fair call. How many players currently do you think? So even cut rid of your smokies. So like a Ola Kawatu is probably a smoky, or
Mhm.
maybe even a Nanai. How many players do you reckon you got? I'm pretty sure Horsburgh's a lock.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've sold him anyway, so I'm just having a quick look. I have one,
Yep.
two, three, four. So I have 13, and that's including Ponga and Tedesco. So let's say most likely at least one of them will be there. That's after my trade this week, which we can talk about
Yep.
later. Um, so yeah, I think it's a really important week for trading because on one hand, you don't really want to go early on guys with origin risk because if they're then missing, like Olakwatu is a great example. He Manly plays all the major buys. If he doesn't make origin, like, you have to have him. But if you bring him in this week, even with the good matchup, if he makes origin, he's then missing a bunch of games and you just don't need him. So you kind of don't want to overcommit to any players. But by the same token, you need to be prepared for round 12. You get the extra trade. So you get 3 trades that week for free. But you can't
Yep.
go in with 10 players and say, yeah, I'll just make 3 trades and get to 13 because you can have 1 or 2 players get HIA, get injured, surprise origin selections. So it's a really important week. Like, you need to protect yourself from that carnage just in case it happens. So I
Yep.
definitely wouldn't be buying anyone that's a high chance of or a decent chance of origin. I think this week it's get to, like, you probably want to be minimum 12 players heading into this week that are going to play around 12. That way, even if you get 1 or 2 or 3 injuries, you can trade up to that 13 next week. How are you looking for
What a
round 12?
luxury to have a boost this week. Isn't that right? I'm currently on 11 with the 2 trades I've made. I could have got
Mhm.
to 12, but without spoiling one of my trades, I'm pretty sure he's not a must-have, but the route I'm going in terms of my strategy, he's definitely a guy that I'm highly considering. I think you'll make plenty of cash, and you could probably
Mm.
figure out who that is.
Yes, I'm aware.
Um, yeah, yeah. Nico went early on him, so good
So,
work, Nico.
so you've got
Um,
11, like 11
but the guys
solid
I've
numbers?
got, like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I'll just quickly read them out. So I got Sandon Smith, Jazz Tavanga, Dylan Lucas. I won't count Ola Kawatu. I got Katoga. I'll count Karaz. I'm pretty sure Karaz will be there.
Hmm.
Sharp, Garrick, Tamale, and I'll put Teddy in because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Edwards or Pappy will be there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's my opinion. But yeah, about 11. So again, 3 trades next week. I'll probably max trade standard for me. Keep the position going. um, but there's some guys who I probably will have to trade anyway because they've peaked in cash. But again, we'll talk about that soon enough.
Mm.
Um, I think the biggest one this week, because the Panthers are on the bye, the Nathan Cleary situation. So potentially playing, well, best case, I'm pretty sure he can only play 4 out of 8 games post Origin. Potentially gets rested and even loses or doesn't play more games. What are your thoughts on selling Nathan Cleary?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, Ivan Cleary actually came out and said he's going to rest the Origin players round 16. So they have the buy. It's the buy round 15. Origin 2 is in Perth, and then Penrith play in New Zealand like 2 days later. And so playing Origin Wednesday, flying from Perth to Sydney, then from Sydney, New Zealand to play 2 days later. Like he already said, none of those guys are going to play. So with Cleary, he's missing 15, he's missing 16, he's missing 18. He's only going to play around 17, and that's against the Bulldogs. And obviously, their defense has been pretty big this year. So
Yeah.
Clear is definitely a sell, I think. It's just a matter of timing. You can sell this week, obviously, buy this week, missing next week. It's going to be a big call because if you don't sell this week, you'll sell round 15, definitely. But he
Mm.
plays Power around 13 and Tigers around 14. And so I can see it going one of two ways. I can see him scoring a couple of 80s and people that jump off, get in hit cash influx, an extra gun in the buy rounds, make up a bunch of points. Or I can see it going the other way where people that hold, they get 140 versus Power and 110 versus the Tigers, sell at an even higher price, and then they've actually made up extra points. Um, I'm going to
Mm.
hold this week and I'm going to reassess. And if Carnage hits and I'm short, he's an easy guy to move to a round 12 player. And then I think I'm going to try and keep him for
Yep.
13 and 14 for now. Um, but if you've got the right duels or you've got the right guy to buy, I don't mind selling him this week. He's going to be a sell eventually. Um,
Yep.
I mean, what are you holding or are you trading?
I'm holding this week, and I'm probably in a similar boat in your mindset for next week as well. I do like the potential opportunities of him playing those games, regardless of the Origin situation. Um, and I just don't have that luxury of just bringing him back in. Like I can't be
Mm.
wasting trades if I've been max trading every single week. It's almost that position where I've got Jerome Hughes.
Mm-hmm.
He's a lock. I've got Cleary. He's a lock. Why burn more trades there unless they're injured? Like I just don't have that flexibility at this stage. I definitely could reassess maybe game 2 potentially,
Yeah.
but yeah, in the immediate future, I'm definitely in a similar boat to you. And it could be a
Yeah.
pod, like which could be also a huge thing.
Yeah, well, for you, like the only guy I'd be trading to is Nico, and he misses round 13.
Mm.
So you're not really
Not
gaining an
again.
extra, yeah, you're not really gaining an extra game anyway. So for you, I'd definitely keep him for 13, 14. Round 15, Nico has the Dragons at home in the bye round. So Dragons are going to be without Val, probably without Jaden Sewer. Couchman's now injured. He might not be back. Sharks are at full strength. Like that might be a like you have to have Nico situation, and that's a good reason to jump off Cleary for you. And then you could just buy him back later.
Mm.
But yeah, I wouldn't be moving now. I mean, Nico's got the Storm this week, so that's not really a move you want to make. Anyway.
Yeah, yeah, and again, the the team that they're playing is definitely a team you don't want to be versing as well. So Melbourne Storm obviously are very, very good, and they're going to probably go full gun-ho because they know they're going to have a bit of a rest next week. And obviously off that scintillating performance, 64-0, yeah, they're going to be red, red hot. Some other players are in high contention. What are your thoughts with the Matty Nicholson situation? So he's pretty highly owned.
Mm.
I know you were murmuring on some players, but I guess you can spill the beans. What are your thoughts on Matty Nicholson?
Well, I don't own Nicholson. I missed that one, unfortunately. He's been really good. Reports have come out that he's going to be out for up to 12 weeks. So he's definitely a sell. There's no question there. Um, that's exactly the sort of trade that I think needs to be made this week, because yes, you could hold him, get another look at the options, but it's just one extra thing you have to do. And if Carnage hits, you're going to be in trouble. There's heaps of second rowers that are great buys this week, and it's really hard to figure out which one. So you've got Aaron Clark, who's just been absolutely killing it. Nice to see the Warriors use him well. I don't know what the Titans were doing for those few years, but he's been unreal. He's racking up
Yep.
base. He gets a bit of attack occasionally. He has an offload. He really runs hard. Like in the 20, he's trying to score every time. He really just tucks it under his arm and runs. Um, he's getting a bit expensive, but in a weird way, it's almost a good thing, because if he keeps going up in price, no one's going to be able to afford him, and those can be the best pods sometimes. And then you've got guys like
True.
Kickow. He scored 100 this week. Their buy schedule's really strong. They've got some great matchups. I think their three major buys are Dolphins without Origin guys, Souths without Origin guys, and Broncos without Origin guys. And then there's a power matchup in between
Huge.
that. So he could be unreal. And he's pretty affordable. I think he's right around 600K. You've got Nicola, who
Yep.
is starting to find some form. The base is up. And now that Hines has taken more control of the team, he's getting all these short balls, turning it back inside for Nicola. He's really looking better the last few weeks. He's only 530K or 540, which is a steal for him. And then you've got
Yep.
Hosking, who I'm probably going to buy this week. He's only 500K. He plays around 12. He plays around 13. He plays 18, which is looking like a bit of a tricky one. And he's a bit injury prone, but when he's played big minutes, whether it's on the edge, whether it's in the middle, he's just always scored well, even in base. I would expect him to be close to a 60 average just in base. And then any attack could push him up to 70 even short term. So there's 4 or 5 guys that you could just look at as yeah, that's an easy buy, which makes it hard. But also, I think buying one of them now, if you have Nicholson, just jump on one of those guys now, fix that early, and then you've got more cover next week if needed.
Yeah. I'm a similar mindset, but since I can't boost, and I have another guy in the form of Greg Marju, who was in a similar injury situation, but we'll get to Greg shortly. Yeah, Matty Nicholson I'm actually holding this week reluctantly because my second trade that I'll explain later, he sort of mitigates that chance to get that. I was looking at Kickow for a long time this week. I was also looking at Tarpany because I'm the cash king. Both those guys' break evens aren't crazy, so I can probably afford to wait 1 week, and it won't really change the amount I have to spend. And I'm pretty stacked in the forwards. I've got Dylan Lucas, Nanai, Ola Kawatu, their guns, S3 starters, and you got your standard front rowers and Haas, May, Tino, and Corey Horsburgh. So I do have that luxury where I don't necessarily have to trade this week in my eyes, and I'd rather go for that high upside play in the outside backs. That's why Greggy Marju was my priority trade this week instead. But yeah, there's definitely some guns out there. Nikora, as you just mentioned earlier, he's been really good. That buy schedule is very favorable, and I was definitely looking at him as well. But if I had to pick anyone the guys that you mentioned, I'm loving the Kickout shout. I think Kickout is in a team that's not affected by the Origin players leaving, like Bird and maybe 18th man, but probably unlikely. There's no one really else. Karaz probably not going to get picked. as you said, favourable bye schedule. They're versing guys who are in Origin teams, and they're in a winning team and a winning culture. So obviously Critter's not there, but it's the only
Mm.
guy. So
Well, I mean,
I
if
think
anything,
Kickout's probably the guy I'll be looking at next week.
yeah, I mean, if anything, Preston's
Sorry?
suspended. Yeah, Preston's suspended. Critter's going to be in Origin. Like, that's their right side attack. You know, they might just go left even. I mean, they go left
Mm,
most of the time. They might go left even more. And we saw that last week where
mm.
Kickout got a try and a try assist, just sweeping, easiest ones of your life. So he's definitely an intriguing option. And I don't think I'll get him this week, but he'll be one I'll look at next week for sure.
Yeah. So that's the Matty Nicholson situation. And the Zach Hosking shout as well. I love that. I'm just on Supercoach right now. And 25% of the top 5% are putting him in this week. So
Mhm.
that's a pretty big whiff for that. I managed to pick him up in draft, so take
Oh,
that.
nice.
But
I put a claim in too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I did notice that. But yep, well done to me. I'll take that little penny where I can. But yeah, Greggy Marju, another highly owned player. Did you own Greg, Adam?
Yeah, I've got Greg. Yeah, started with him. He's been good.
So yeah, well, exactly right. Um, what's your play with Greg? He's out probably about 4 weeks. Are you going to hold or sell?
No, definitely selling. So at the moment, he's the guy moving on to Hosking. I've got that Lucas duel into Earth, which is handy. Um,
Mm.
yeah, like he's a season keeper, but 4 weeks is just a little bit too long at this time of year. If it was like round 16 and he was only going to miss like a bye that he was going to miss anyway, you probably just hang on to him. But the Knights haven't been very good to begin with, and their draw the next like month was the appeal for a lot of these Knights players, and he's going to miss that good part of the draw. He might come back and be a bit limited. Like we don't even really know what the injury was. They haven't actually. I don't think they've said whether it was like an MCL or like a bone bruise or whatever. Um, so yeah, definitely selling. It's just too. Yeah, it's just kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like, you really need to insulate yourself against that sort of carnage. And I don't want to be going into next week with a guy sitting there injured already. So for me, he's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Um, and he's expensive. Center wing's got so many good players. Like, I just don't. And we've got a lot of trades this year. I know you've been burning them, but we've made so much money. All these cheapies are killing it. Most people have gun teams already. I don't think we're going to get to the end of the year and be stressed about trades. I think there's a good chance we'll have 3 or 4 spare at the end of the year just to do like dumb shit. Maybe not you, but
You're a
um,
comedian, mate. Absolute comedian.
like the last, I don't know, I often stress about trades. In the last few years, like last year, I know I was sitting like maybe top 200 trying to make a big swing. And I brought in Luai, he averaged like 30. Brought in Nico after his injury, averaged like 40. But I didn't need those trades. I was just using them to like try and take a big swing. So I don't see much point holding Greg. You can buy him back later, worst case scenario.
Hmm. Agreed. Very similar situation. Obviously not as long, but Tua Pelotu, same sort of thing. Gun, probably season keeper when healthy. Yeah, I think center wing you sort of got to be a bit more aggressive and sort of get those guys in and out because some guys could pop off like Carraz like last week, getting 140 or wherever it was. Um, any other guys that are tickling your fancy this week for a buy or a must sell, Adam?
Must sell, not really. Um, yeah, not really any must sells I can think of other than injured guys. I think this is, and in terms of buys, I mean, like I said, I would just be targeting around 12 guys at this stage. Like, I'd be trying to make sure you're getting 12, 13 players now, um, just to be safe. Because those buy rounds, like if you're short, you're just going to get murdered. You really need 13 minimum and ideally even 14, 15. The interesting one this week, which a lot of people are going to be buying, and I know you're thinking about buying, is the Dragons halfback. Um, he is base price, negative break
King
even.
Tonga.
Yeah, yeah, King Tonga. That's a really interesting one. You're buying him, right?
Yeah, it just does so much for me. And I'll explain that after you're finished.
Hmm. I think I'm going to avoid him for now. Personally, I'm just going to save my second trade. Just going to move on Greg and sit with that. Just because it's all team dependent, but I've got Munster and JC, and JC just scored 90. Munster went 140. And the score for LKT on the weekend made it a lot more feasible, I think, to skip him. If he put up another 80, like you're probably forced to buy him no matter what. But yes, he has that negative 40 break even, but he scored like 33 with a try assist. And so if he scores like another 30 this week, he'll make 50K and his break even will be like 20 next week. And that might dry up a little bit. It really depends. Like he's probably not going to be an 80 average guy. He's probably not going to be 20 average guy either. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of buying him this week unless it really opens up some big moves elsewhere. Just because I
Yeah.
think even if he scores 40 this week, right, he'll make like 70K. You could still buy him if you want to in round 13 for 260 instead of 198, and that's not the end of the world. It's better than being short like in round 12, in my opinion, if that's sort of the risk running.
Fair. Yeah.
But I mean, it's hard to turn down a
So
bottom
I
dollar
do have
shot.
a bit of a. Oh, mate. Again, the break even's insane. Like, negative 51 break even's pretty bloody good. And that actually freed up close to $500,000 for me, which just did so much for my team. So I might just go through my trades quick. So I did Greg Marju for King Tongia via duel of Adam Dewey. So Dewey is out and Greg Marju out,
Mm-hmm.
which then allowed me to get Fletcher Sharp and King Tongia.
Mm-hmm.
So got a gun in Fletcher Sharp. He's also got a low break even of 8. And
Mm-hmm.
then King Tongia's got a low break even of negative 51.
Mm-hmm.
So cash galore, pretty much had to get Fletcher Sharp because if I don't get him this week, I'm not going to be able to get him at all.
Yeah.
But then after the Nathan Cleary chat we just did, King Tongia will get the duel by round 12 because he's actually
Mm-hmm.
a 5'8 only on Supercoach currently. I actually might go the 2 rounds post Origin with Cleary, get those good matchups, and then look to sell him. And King Tongia gets flexed up, and then get JC in.
Yep. Oh, that plan
Master
makes a
plan.
lot. That plan makes a lot of sense. What I would probably say. So, how much money do you have before trades, like in the bank,
If uh
like just before doing anything?
70,000, 70,000,
Yeah, yeah. Like,
and
I
now
think,
this gives me 284,000 in the bank for next week.
yeah, I think I'm a little bit nervous for you having 11 going into next week for round 12 because, like, you need 13 absolute minimum. You probably want 14 because there's a few guys in there. Like I've got similar guys like Sandon, for example. Like they could score 25 on the buy round, and then you want that to drop out ideally. And you've got like Kaltoga as well. He's been good. Hopefully, he like jags a try for you. But I think if you're going into next week with 11 and only 3 trades, like one injury or surprise origin selection or HIA, and you're on 13, and if you have 2, you literally can't get to 13 players. So I think like the strategy you're running of like maxing the cash is a good one. But I think there's a time where like you need to actually use that cash to your advantage. And I would say that's this week. Like I don't think you missing the first price rise on LKT is that big a problem. I think you could sacrifice that. Like you could buy him for 260K later and just like insulate yourself against that carnage. Like if you do, like I'm assuming you could do Nicholson to a 2RF like Nickera, kick out, whoever, and still do Greg to Sharp, right? Yeah, like I'd definitely be doing that. You're going to miss the price rise from King Tongia, but you'll get better points this week because you'll have an extra gun. You'll have protection against Carnage the week after. Um, and then you could do, and Dewey's got like, what, South this week or something? So he actually might do okay
Oh,
anyway. Like Tigers are going to bounce back,
mate,
surely.
Dewey's been the burden of my life, mate. He's been an
It's pretty
absolute burden of
shocking
my
on the
life.
weekend. But I mean, you don't play the Storm
Every
every
time I play him, he just does shit. But lucky that I didn't play him this week and I played Brimo. So
Who's your
that
like
worked out well.
with your current trades, right? Who's your last reserve? Like who's the weakest guy in your team?
Uh, Probably Jazz Tavanga,
Yeah.
but
So
he's
like
pretty
if you
solid as well.
yeah, so like if you do Hosking to kick out instead of doing Nicholson to kick out instead of doing Dewey to Tonga, then you're playing kick out instead of Tavanga. So you're potentially getting an extra, let's say 30 points for argument's sake this week. And then you're potentially, like, if you could be short round 12, you could be getting an extra 80 points that week if you'd be short otherwise. And like the 60K LKT is going to make is handy, but like I'd take the 80 points every day of the week.
Yeah. So like as you were just speaking, I just did a reverse trade. So I can do Matty Nicholson, Greg Marju out, Kickow, Fletcher Sharp in, and that gives me 13K remaining in the bank.
Yeah, like I'd do that. I mean, if because you get another
arguably my weakest player is Dewey now.
Yeah, I mean, if you do, because that's the thing, you get another look at LK2T as well, man. Like like I said, he got 30 odd with the try assist. Like if he scores 20 this week and doesn't get a try assist, you don't even need him. Like his break even will be like 35. He'll be 260K. You could just avoid him and go another direction. There'll be other cheapies that pop up. There'll be other chances to make cash. And maybe like Teddy gets picked for Origin, and then you go, all right, I've got 900K Teddy. I'll just sell him down to whoever, and then you've got 300K, sitting there. I'd 100% be doing that if I was you, because going into next week with only 11 and only 3 trades, like I'd be very nervous about that. I've got a boost up my sleeve at least. So worst case scenario, like let's say Karaz gets picked for Origin, Teddy gets picked for Origin, Ponga gets picked for Origin. I have 2 blokes get HIAs. Like I can use 4 trades if I have to and get close to either get 13 or maybe be 12. But if that much carnage has happened, everyone else will be struggling too. Yeah, for you, like I think it's time to hit the points button. Like 5K, you're sitting pretty well with your team value at 5K. It's just this is like if you want to climb the rankings, this is the time to do it. Like you don't get a better chance than the buys. So I'd be going like hard at points for the next like 8 weeks.
Yeah, that's fair call. Because, I kind of... That's why you're on the podcast, Adam. You talk sense to me, mate. The good advice is coming in.
Then I get roasted when Kickow's the one that gets the cat. Kickow's going to get a cat 1 5 minutes in. I'm going to be the bad guy.
Somehow gets eligibility to play for New South Wales. Like, it'll happen. It makes more sense because then, like, next week I can sort of look at, obviously, probably trading Ponga, probably trading Derby, probably can trade Dewey. I can do my 3 trades there, and that gets me to probably 15 players.
Yeah, I mean, there might be like...
That does make me feel better.
There might be like a good cheapie that's going to cover the buy rounds. Like sometimes these Origin guys, when they go off to Origin, a cheapie comes in their place, and you say, I can just buy this guy. They'll play 3 rounds in the buys and they'll nuff out. And you could just go down, because I don't think you have many nuffs, right?
No, I don't have any.
Yeah, so you could, like, let's say some random forward pops in for like the Bulldogs or something, or probably not the Bulldogs because they don't have any Origin forwards, but one of these teams like that's going to play more buy rounds. Yeah, or even Manly. Like, let's say Jake Turbo gets picked for Origin, and Manly puts some forward on the bench. You could just be like, yeah, I'm going to pick this guy up, get 3 buy rounds out of them. They'll nuff out later, and that's your freed up cash, a few extra points. Like, I don't think LKT is essential. He makes sense to move on from Dewey for sure. And if Nicholson and Marzu didn't get injured and you had 13 for the buy round, like that would be an easy move. But those injuries, I think, kind of forces your hand a little bit. Like losing 2 guns a week out from round 12 is pretty rough. So kind of got to fix that.
It does make sense. And again, Kickout's probably going to break even. Like he's at 54, so he may make a little bit of cash. The Fletcher Sharp trade, that's pretty much a must. If I don't do it this week, I'm not going to do it at all. Adam, you've spoken some sense to me, mate.
Yeah, Kickow's a good pod.
Finally,
too,
some good advice.
We'll see. Time will tell. No, he's a good pod, man. Like he could easily just like bang out a 120 one of the buy rounds, and like there's your green arrow. I mean, he could go on a run of like 90 average for 4 weeks. He could score 30 one week. We saw that against the Titans, but he's got the role. Like he's an attacking weapon. He's a good buy.
Yeah. And again, as you said, 1 price rise, not the end of the world. I can obviously still downgrade Dewey to get him. So, no, that's a good shout. Very good shout. I think that's pretty much mainly the biggest players to talk about. Obviously, got guys like Herbie Farmworth. Obviously, you can afford him. You go get him. What's your thoughts on Corey Allen, though? from the Dragons. Obviously, got the Dragons got the bye in round 12,
Mm.
but he looks like he's got that starting winging spot for at least a short term. Why Tuipulotu's out? What's your thoughts on
Mhm.
him?
It's just too close to round 12 to be buying non-round 12 guys, I think. If it was basement price, maybe, but like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not really that interested. Like, if they don't play round 12, Tuipulotu could be back round 13 or 14. Um, he's not that good. So I'm not really, like, I wouldn't be using a trade
Yeah,
on him.
yeah. So I'm just having a quick look at the top 1%, what they're doing. So apparently, Connor Tracy, 4% of the top 1% have traded him in. What's your thoughts on Connor Tracy?
Yeah, he's one I've been considering too. Um, I like him a lot. He is obviously all the reasons we spoke about for the Bulldogs, good buy coverage, winning team. The one concern I have for him is that he's predominantly the right side sweeper for the Bulldogs. So if you watch their games, when they go left, it's Burton and Kickow doing everything. Kickow often sweeps. You've got Sherry running that hard line. Tracy's nowhere to be seen on the left. On the right side, he runs that sweep behind Preston a lot of the time. And then he has gotten some try assists just from giving the ball to Crichton, who does everything himself. And those are free points,
Mm.
with the way Supercoach scores it. He just has to run behind the decoy, easy pass to Crichton, and they score, and he gets 20 points. Um, and so one concern I have is in those buy rounds, Preston's suspended, Critter's going to be at Origin. They might just go left like 85, 90% of the time. And he might not be very involved. He's had some 30s this year in games they've done okay. Um, his base is pretty good. I'm kind of going back and forth in it because on one hand, I love the fact that he's already expensive and he's got a negative break even. If you jump on and he does go, 80, 100, 80, 100 every week, then no one's going to be able to afford him. You're just going to keep rising the rankings every single week and riding him to the top. They've got an awesome draw. But on the other hand, my head kind of says the role might not be as good over Origin for him. So it's a tough call. It's not now or never, but with a like really low break even, this week is the week to buy. And at one stage, I was buying him instead of Hosking. I've kind of gone back to Hosking now, just as a bit of a safer pick. But I really like Tracy as an option. He's definitely like if I was buying a center wing this week, it would be him, 100%. Um, yeah, like I said, I like players that are expensive already because it keeps people off, and you can just get these awesome pods that really like get you moving up.
True. Well, then I'll bid you this question then: Fletcher Sharp or Connor Tracy? And we know that Kalen Ponga, regardless of his form this year, he's still the guy that all teams will put their game plan around.
Mm-hmm.
So, worst case scenario, he's a decoy. Would you pick Sharp or would you pick Connor Tracy if you had to choose this week? Asking for a friend.
Sharp for me. I just think the draw is still too good. Like you should have jumped on with us two weeks ago. But he's got Para, he's got Penrith in the bye round, he's got the Dragons, then he's got Manly. He plays round 15 as well against the Roosters, who miss a few Origin guys. So I would still be getting Sharp. Um,
Yeah.
and also the Bulldogs have the bye in round 13. So not that that's a really
Mm.
hard round to cover, but if you buy Tracy now, you only get 2 weeks and then he's got to buy. So that's something to factor in as well. So yeah, I'd say still Sharp,
Yeah.
definitely. For anyone that doesn't own Sharp, have a look at
Yeah.
Tracy. But yeah, if you don't own Sharp, I think it's just time to jump on.
Yeah. Fair trade. Okay. Good advice, as per usual. Um,
We'll see.
so, Adam, captaincies this week. Bit of a tricky one, I reckon, because some of the boys who've been popping off haven't got the best matchups in my eyes. What are your thoughts on captaincy this week?
Well, I think that anyone that's lucky enough to own Scott Drinkwater, firstly, I hate you. And secondly, he's the easy captain. You can vice captain him if you want, just for the safety. With the way looping works this year, it's pretty safe to VC. But you've got to have something on him. It's just a no-brainer. He's in too good a form. The role's good. We'll see how this purge you to 5'8" thing affects him. Realistically, it probably won't. He's just really good. So yeah, you got to have something on Drinky if you own. For us that don't own Drinky, it's definitely tough. Like, I know what you mean. Pappy's got a tough matchup. Teddy's got a tough matchup. Cleary's not playing. Nico's got a tough matchup. So I'm thinking at the moment having the C on Terrell May. Just copying your strategy, basically. Just take the safe points.
Back to
Um,
back.
yeah, you'd have to think the Tigers are going to be up for this one. Like last week was embarrassing, and they've been pretty good this year. I don't think they've
Yeah.
been that bad. He's playing for an Origin jumper. Fanua Pole's out like 7 weeks now, so they're going to bring in a different
Mm.
forward, and Terrell's probably going to play 70 plus minutes again. Souths aren't the best pack, so he could get some tackle busts, some offloads. So I think he's my safe captain. And then VC, I'm not really
Yep.
sure. I'm probably one of the fullbacks, like Teddy or Ponga. Had a sneaky look at Garrick as just like a real dart. Like you really want 110 plus to loop, and so you might just chuck it on whoever, and then yeah, hope they go big. But what are you thinking? What are you looking at?
Oh, mate, I was just saying, I think you covered it pretty well. I've got Ponga, and I'm thinking since he's the first game of the round, it's a pretty easy choice to chuck the VC on.
Mm.
Surely, he's due. He's so bloody due to like pop off. I could
Oh,
have got Drinky, guys. I could have got Drinky, but I went Ponga.
oh, talk
Stingy
about a
Ryan wanted the
headache, eh?
250K in the bank.
Oh, seriously, what
Got
a
me
headache.
Dylan Lucas, to be fair.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, but with Ponga,
Nonetheless, yeah.
right? Like I've been looking at Ponga too. I mean, the Eels at home, like he's a goal kicking fullback. He doesn't need that much to go right for him, I guess, like a few sweeps and whatever. But like, what do you think? What I've been struggling with for him is what are the odds he actually gets a loopable score? Like that Souths game, they carved them up and he got 98. I mean, don't get me started on the line break they took off him for no reason. But even if you add that back on, like he scored 108 in a game they absolutely demolished South. Like that's not even loopable enough. He scored 30 versus the Titans. Like if he gets 90, like I'd be super happy. But do you think he has a 120 in him at the moment with his current form?
I think I think he does. I think he's just so overdue, and I think
Let's go.
he wants to sort of prove a point going to Origin. I'm manifesting so bad here, but
The
I
copium.
think he does. Like, and as you say, I think it's almost better if it's a high scoring affair, but it's a close game because, as you said multiple times, you said to me in person, he just pumps a team, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, pull the handbrake. Let's just go cruise control for the rest of the game. Let's just save some juice." I think it'll be good if it's a high scoring affair, but it's just even.
Oh, he's frustrating, man.
Maybe you
Like
have to put more
even
juice in.
even
Yeah.
end of last year when I owned him, like he'd be on 100 after 55 minutes, and I'm like, here we go, this is the big one. And then he just like they're up by 20, and he just checks out. Like you said, cruise control. He just won't touch the ball. He's like, game's over. I'll just rest for next week, which isn't the worst strategy in real life. It's kind of like in the NBA where they just pull the starters when they're up 30 in the fourth quarter. They don't really do that in the footy, obviously, but it's frustrating when you've got Ponga on 100 after 50 minutes, and then he finishes on 107, and then you see Turbo, you see Drinky, like these guys, like they'll be on 120 with 10 minutes to go, the game's over, and they're trying to junk it up. Like they're taking every hit up, they're throwing offloads, they're like trying to score every single set. Like they just like so greedy, like they want all the tries, all the try assists. Like those are the guys you want to own. And Ponga, like that's why I worry. It's like even if everything goes right and they're carving up the Eels, like he's just going to stop playing after 60 minutes and rest. And then if it's a close game, like that Titans game last week, it was the worst case scenario because they went up big early. He wasn't involved in any of the tries, and I was really worried at halftime because I was like, either they're going to run away with it and he'll just stop playing, or it'll get close and they'll just put the queue in the rack and try and defend their way to a win, which is pretty much what happened. Like they just weren't trying to do anything, wouldn't run sweeps. They'd just go 5 hit ups and a kick, trying to like hold on to this lead. And like Ponga scored what, like 3 points in the second half because the Knights just refused to actually play any footy. Um, I mean, on paper, like he's the easiest VC of your life, and maybe I'm overthinking it, but I don't know. I really struggle to see him doing that big score. I kind of feel like if he does, then I'll just be happy that he's done it. And if he scores 50 again, I'm going to be so mad if I burnt the VC on him again. So,
Yeah.
yeah. What are you thinking for captain then? If you
Yeah,
don't,
well, I think, well, I'm
you
not
don't loop.
against the stack the pack technique. I was looking at Payne Haas as well as a
Mm-hmm.
potential option as a
Mm-hmm.
captaincy. So I was looking at either Ponga or Pappy as a VC, and then go either that Terrell May or Payne Haas. I think Payne Haas is probably going to run right against St George.
Mm.
I think that's pretty obvious there.
Yeah, that's a good
And
call. I
again, he
mean,
knows he's got a bit of a rest as well
that's a good call
coming
because
up.
the Broncos, they've lost two in a row. Like they actually need a win desperately. And the Dragons have lost Couchman. Their pack's like, let's be honest, is not very good to begin with. So yeah, that's interesting. I actually maybe Haas is a better option than Terrell. Maybe I'll switch.
Because obviously, probably Terrell's going to get the minutes, like
Yeah,
probably 70 to maybe a full game potentially. Because I saw Royce Hunt starting at front row next to him, and he's
big
40
boy.
minutes max. Um, Big bopper.
Oh.
um, but yeah, I think the go high risk, as you said to me in the past, that sort of Papenhuyzen sort of vibe or Drinkwater vibe. But yeah, I think the Payne Haas, I think he's going to explode, and especially when he knows he's got a bit of a rest coming up, a
Mm.
weaker sort of opposition in terms of the front row. Origin around the corner, he's probably going to want a bit of a statement game. Broncos fucking shut the bed last week.
The
I
home
think
game too, isn't it?
Sunday at Suncorp,
Yeah,
2 p.m.
yeah.
Yep, 2 p.m. at Suncorp. Potentially a dryish track. I
Mm.
think it's going to be all up Payne
Yeah,
Haas.
you're saying the right things. You- you're saying all the right things. It sounds like a good idea. Maybe I'll switch over. I like it.
Yeah, I think both are pretty good options. Nonetheless, Adam, if you have to leave with the audience one thing to do this week, what advice would you give?
Um, yeah, I mean, it's just same advice I gave you, man. Like, you just have to have your round 12 numbers ready. Like, you can't risk. A lot of us have used all our boosts or burned a bunch of trades. You can't risk going into next week saying, yeah, it's fine. I'll just make 3 trades to get to 13. Like, if you're an overall player, that is. If you have 11 players and everyone else has 13, like you're 100 behind par before the round even kicks off. And ideally, you want 14 so that if someone has a HIA, they drop out, or if someone scores a 10, 20, they drop out. So I think this week is very important for trades, but just really simple like get rid of injured guys, maybe get rid of origin guys if you want to, but just get in some like no chance of origin round 12 guys, like your Hoskins, your Nickera, Fletcher Sharp, Connor Tracy. Like these guys are all good buys. I wouldn't be doing LKT unless you really, really need the money. Um, and then I wouldn't be trading anyone that might not make Origin, like your Olakuatus or even Horse. Like if you still got Horse, you might as well just give him another week because he could easily miss out. Terrell's not a lock until he's named. Teddy, Ponga, like even Ponga might not make it. Who knows? So yeah, it's just that's the focus this week. If you don't need to do anything, just hold trades. It's a good week to save some. But yeah, it's all round 12 this week.
Yeah, yeah, good advice. Um, well, guys, I'm pretty sure that's everything we've covered. Captaincy, sells, buys. But again, as I say every week, we want to hear from you guys. We want to hear your trades. We want to hear if Adam's made some crap calls. I think he's actually done pretty good today. So maybe give Adam some likes in the comments. I think he's done some very good advice, especially that King Tongia advice. I've just spoken myself into captaining Payne Haas, and I think Broncos going to run right. So I think King Tonga is probably in for a low scoring game this week. So, yep, thank you, Adam. Well done again.
Fingers
But yeah,
crossed.
audience, love to hear from you guys. You're welcome. Yeah, audience, we want to hear from you guys. We're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube Shorts, you name it, we're on it. But again, to help us get recognized to the algorithm, we need you to like and subscribe. And if you can share, that also extremely helps. But huge shout out to the GOAT, Adam. 43rd overall. Correct.
Yeah, something like that. I double check, but yeah, it's about that.
Yeah. So Adam's the GOAT. We love him. Then, guys, if you got any questions to Adam, I'll sort of flick it on to him and I'll get back to you guys. But appreciate you guys. Gary and I will be on for the normal programming tomorrow night, Thursday night. Talk to you guys soon. Thanks.